just going to hand it over to you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks to all of you for having an interest in managing the woodlots on your property and all. So I'm going to cover deer and turkeys, and do we still have an hour and 45? Is that what we're on the schedule for if we need it?
Hour and a half would be good.
Okay. So point being, feel free to ask questions. Normally I cover deer first and then turkeys, but it always seems like turkeys get the short end of the stick. So this year we're going to mix it up and start out with turkeys first and then finish up with deer. But like I said, feel free to ask any questions. On the turkey stuff, I may have to refer you to our actual turkey biologist. But the thing about deer and turkeys, what you do for one benefits the other. You can manage both species very similar, to be honest with you. I actually live in northern Washington County, so I'm close by here. Grew up here. I've been with the department for almost 15 years now. But anyway, so just to get started, most of you know what turkeys are, obviously. There are differences between the sexes. Males, right now is a great time to see turkeys. They breed in the spring, so you'll see, a flock of a dozen or more out in the field. And normally you'll see a couple of the males puffed up, and they're trying to impress the girls is what they're trying to do. So the males typically weigh 16 to 22 pounds. 23, 24 pounds. You can get them up that big as well. That's a really nice turkey. That's live weight. That's live weight. Yeah. Yeah. With turkeys, you generally talk whole weight. Deer, it's typically dressed weight. Yeah. So males will have the big red, white, and blue head, especially this time of the year. And the males are the ones doing the gobbling. If you have turkeys on your property, you go out first light and all. I mean, it travels a long way. You can hear a turkey gobble from quite a distance. Hens, on the other hand, the females, dull brown color, a lot smaller, half the size. A drab head, gray or grayish pink head. They don't gobble. They don't puff up and display. And it's more of just a yelp, yelp, yelp is a typical call that you may hear. You know why they're olive drab or dull in color?
They're trying to hide.
Exactly. She's the one that's got to sit out there on the nest and hope that Mr. Coyote or Mr. Fox or whatever doesn't come by and detect her. So this is what it looks like. Like I said, most of you have probably seen this. I shot this out the windshield of the truck over in Dorchester County quite a few years ago. But, he's trying to impress these hens here in the middle or in the foreground. And they make themselves look as big as they can. It's pretty funny. So, and then this is you'll hear beard. That's the other thing. If you're a turkey hunter, you talk to turkey hunters. That's one of the criteria is how long was the beard. Well, the beard is just a modified feather, and it hangs on the chest. Mainly on males. I can't back up. I missed it. But occasionally you will have a female turkey have a beard as well, and that one in that video there. Can we back that up, Jonathan? If we can do that or not. I'll show you. It's kind of... So, like I said, you're looking at that. It's kind of hard to see, but it's that hanging down right there. It's just a modified feather, and these are hens. But I get a kick out of that. They do that so much that they actually wear the tips off their feathers by the end of the breeding season. Their feathers are. Yeah. They're both competing for these, but yeah. So this is a. So kind of neat, but it's all about attracting the girls right now.
Do they fight each other?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And a common way to hunt them is they'll put out a decoy of another male, and the male will come in to fight it. And that's one of the ways they.
Gang warfare.
So what's that?
Gang warfare.
Exactly. So, but turkey hunting is really popular, and it's a lot of fun because you're actually out one-on-one. You're trying to mimic the hen, and you actually call the bird in. And if the better you are at calling, the more likely you are to get a turkey in. Their eyesight is unbelievable, though. I mean, they could see you blink from 100 yards, and they'll be gone. So it's pretty impressive. Turkeys and deer have a very similar history in Maryland and pretty much across their range. Pre-colonial times, we had a lot of them. They were abundant. Get into the 1800s with the Industrial Revolution and all that good stuff. Habitat destruction, clear cut to fuel that, our expansion, and they were exploited along with most other wildlife, and they were pretty much extinct in Maryland, just like deer. And then they were brought back, which is kind of neat, through trap and transfer. 1970, they estimate there was less than 1,000 total turkeys in the state, and they were all pretty much from Frederick County west. Deer as well, and we'll touch on that here indirectly. But one of the keys to the success of the restoration, which is kind of neat with turkeys, is how they trap them. And you're trapping and moving them and restocking them is what we were doing. But is they use a cannon or a rocket net, and these use a howitzer charge, a military howitzer charge. You attach a net to it, and when you get turkeys in front, you set the charges off, and it drags the net out over top the birds. So I don't have a video. I wish I had a video of it, but so the net's right here bundled up. These are the charges. There's bait here, and these turkeys come in to the bait to feed. When you get enough turkeys, everything looks right. You set the charge. What happened to that one? Well, that's interesting. Yeah, wonder why that is. That's what it is. I don't know how that got messed up. Yeah, anyway, so that's just, daggone it. We'll see how many other ones do that. So what this is the net. It's showing the net. You can kind of see the net here, but the net's basically, those charges are dragging that net up over those birds. And then you catch, you got a bunch of people there to handle the birds. You get them out of the net, put them in transport boxes, and you move them to another location, and you release them together as a flock. It just depends. It depends on where you have a gap and where you want to. I mean, you could move them from state to state. Yeah, and they'll establish a new range. Yeah, they'll establish a new range. Believe it or not, I mean, I think we traded turkeys with like Florida before. I mean, we're talking, you can move them as far as, and a lot of the game agencies back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, they were trading species. If one game agency needed something and another agency needed something, they would actually work it out, and they would trade species back and forth. So yeah, so you're actually moving. Probably a couple square mile, something like that most of the time, although it can be much bigger. Yeah, so but this looks a lot like deer. We started out, like I said, with less than 1,000 birds, and we're up over 30,000 birds now in the state, they estimate. So, no, 2000 up through 2009, believe it or not. I don't know if they will do any more. Basically, our high density areas are out in western Maryland, and then over on the eastern shore. You can see there's still a hole here. The darker the shade, the higher the density. And this is mainly, Montgomery County, Harford County, Baltimore County. A little lighter here. I shouldn't say Harford County. Harford County is actually a pretty big county, but this is probably habitat related. It's just really fragmented, not big chunks of woods. And, they've moved birds here numerous times, and I think it's probably just habitat related. Oh, yeah, they are smart. So, yeah. So, yeah, so, but anyway, but you can see, out in, not surprisingly, the western part of the state, but they have really taken off on the eastern shore as well. And, from a harvest standpoint, they're some of our highest counties for turkeys. So a lot of ag land, which is important to a lot of our different wildlife species. But they're really doing well. Coyotes definitely take some, but I don't think we have high enough coyote densities in most areas to really impact the population. We have some pockets of high coyote numbers that could have an influence, but coyotes are opportunistic. So, they're not specializing on turkeys. They eat, they're not even carnivores, they're omnivores. They'll eat grain, they'll eat, whatever they can get their hands on or teeth on. So, but they definitely take some turkeys, but not influencing the population. Yes. Yeah, there's only, it's just eastern wild turkey. There's different subs, and that pretty much, they're all the same species of turkey in the United States, but there's different subspecies. So you'll hear hunters say, oh, I went for this subspecies in the Rio Grande, for instance, and there's one, so there's different subspecies, but they're pretty much all the same species. Yeah.
If I were to hunt one of those and cook them, would it taste like the same turkey, or would it be gamey?
It'd be more gamey. Yeah, but they're good. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're good. But it would have a little different, and some people like them better, to be honest with you. But it would be, a little different. All right, so as far as what, if you're thinking about, if you have an interest, obviously, in managing your property, what works for turkeys. It's real easy, like I said, especially this time of the year when you see them, in a flock out in the middle of the field, you think, oh, well, that's what I need. I need fields to have turkeys. And that's not really the case. It just works out that way because that's where they're most visible and where you see them at. But what's most important during the spring, what we're going into now is nesting habitat. Because, like I said, that hen, she's that camouflage color because this is where they nest. They're just out in the middle, of a field, whether it's native warm season grasses or an old clear cut, or whatever. But they're nesting on the ground, and they need some kind of protection to help try to keep predators from finding them. That's a nest, just a deposit on the ground. They typically lay 9 to 12 eggs, and the neat thing is they lay them during a 2-week period, and then 26 to 28-day incubation period, and then the poults hatch. So the clock on that 26 to 28 days doesn't start until the last egg is laid, and they lay 1 egg a day. So some of the eggs have a lot longer incubation period than the other egg.
Every once in a while, we'll see an egg just along a trail or something like that. Now, had you make a mistake or did it scare you?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They're intact, huh? Yeah, I don't know. So that's a good question. I don't know. So
Within 24 hours?
they all hatch within 24 hours, and as soon as they're dried off, they're up and out of the nest. Yeah, yeah. So, but like I said, she sits there. She'll sit there for 26 to 28 days after the last egg is laid, and then they'll all hatch. So some of those eggs have been on the ground laying there for 9 or 12 days before that, and then she'll incubate, and when they hatch, they're up and out of the nest. Yep.
What about the relationship between the female and the male during this period?
None.
Once they mate, the game
Gone. Yep. He's free. Yep. He's gone. It's all up to her at that. It's all up to her at that point. So yeah, and his game is to mate with as many females as possible. He's trying to spread his genes as much as he can. So it's a lot. This time of the year, there's a lot of competition, a lot of fighting, and yeah. So and that's the name of the game: survival of the fittest. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it can be. Yeah, black rat snakes. They can predate them, but I definitely wouldn't do black rat snake control. But for turkeys, but yeah, black rats definitely could take turkey eggs. Yeah. Yeah, to a certain degree, but there's quite a bit of nest failure from all, not just from snakes, but just in general. There's a lot of nest failure, and they'll re-nest multiple times, until they pull off a clutch. Yeah. So. Yeah. Clutch. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Just like the truck clutch. CLUTCH. Yep. So. Oh, yep. I'm sorry.
When you see a flock of turkeys, is it the same one or two males with the same group of females, or are the males just like free agents that are wandering around? Do they have like
Yeah, well, just during the breeding season, they'll try to have, they'll try to collect as many hens as possible. But then outside the breeding season, and especially as you get into fall, you'll see like bachelor bands. So it'll be like a lot of the males, young and old, and then the hens and all will be kind of in a separate group as well. And then during winter, they can kind of come back together. But there's really just strict. Yeah. And it's kind of that way with deer as well. Right. Through the summer, yeah, good. I'm glad you said that. Through the summer, you'll see multiple hens with their poults. So you may see 50 or 60 turkeys together, and what it is several hens, and they all have their poults together, and yeah. pretty neat. So move into summer. So she was successful. She got her clutch off. And then the most important habitat again is these. They're buggers. They're insectivores. So anything that you can provide that encourages insects and also protection. They can't fly until like 4 to 5 weeks probably. So they're on the ground during that 4 to 5 weeks. So again, it's about protection and it's about providing food. So, yep. Yeah, as a matter of fact, when I was coming in this morning, there was a hen on the road, and I came around the corner and scared her, and she flew out of sight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're a big bird. You wouldn't think so, but yeah, they can fly. So. Yep. 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 They can fly and they roost in trees. So that's the other. I don't know if I might touch this on that in another slide, but yeah, but they roost in trees. So also on your property, if you want it, you don't have to have all of these components, but if you have some taller trees, they'll once they can fly, they'll roost up higher too to get away from predators. But yeah, they roost in trees. One season. Yep. Yeah, they would be big enough in one. That would be smaller, but they'll be independent and and conceivably could be that size in one season. Yeah. The bigger toms you're seeing, the ones that strutted and all, they're typically a couple years old. But by the probably a typical turkey lifespan is probably 4 years. And they're gone, I mean, that would be max, would be 4 years, and they're gone. I mean, it's a tough life out there.
What's the predator besides humans?
Coyotes, foxes will take young ones, and then with the nest predation, any possums, raccoons, anything like that. So, but yeah, no. That nest, from a nest standpoint, eggs and poults, like I said, coyotes, but mainly humans, and then just natural mortality. Winter can be a little challenging on them, and yeah, so not. They're a little big for a raptor. I guess maybe like a gold. We occasionally get golden eagles. I guess a larger raptor could take them, but they're poults. I'm sure red tails and all hammer the poults when they get the opportunity, but an adult bird, they're a little big for a raptor to try to deal with. Yeah. So fall and winter, it's all about food for all of them, not just the poults. Acorns are hugely important for deer and turkeys and a lot of other species. It's really a high energy food, and it's the most important natural food source in the woods. And then they'll find deer. We allow deer baiting in Maryland, and they're not afraid to use corn feeders. And then waste grains. After picking, they'll be out looking for waste grain and a lot of your other high energy, wild grapes or whatever. So, but it's all about food and surviving the winter. If you have a real hard winter, and like out west in Garrett County, say, if you get a lot of snow, I mean, they'll stay in a tree for days on end, and just not come down and either not eat or, just what buds or whatever they can find up there. But they'll stay up and, if it's really bad conditions, they'll stay up in a tree for days on end, to wait it out. So.
When they frequently use the same tree, do they wear the bark off the top of the tree?
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Way up. Yeah. They go up towards the top of the tree typically. I doubt it, but depending on the tree, unless the tree had a health issue maybe or something, then I could see it. But I doubt it otherwise, because they're probably nesting or roosting on, on some of the healthier trees, and I doubt that they would knock the bark off. Probably not. All right. So as far as just carry on with what you can do, if you're doing plantings, or if you have any natural rooms, I typically for deer and turkey, we don't recommend you go in and purposely cut down trees and make openings. They do pretty well without doing that. But if you do have areas that you're planting or that are already open and you're doing plantings for wildlife, You know, there's, excuse me, there's, you know, it's something that provides cover. And then from a food source, clover is a great example for deer, turkeys, and a lot of other species, but they really like clover as something you can plant, you know, from a food plot standpoint. If you're going to do cutting, you know, clear cuts are a great habitat, you know, especially after a few years, you know, provides a lot of protection from predators, and then as stuff starts regenerating, you know, it's also a food source for deer. A lot of times when you do a cutting, you'll have a log landing, and you'll reseed that log landing. Those log landing and those trails are great habitat for poles, you know, when they're bugging and looking for insects. And then just think about managing for native vegetation. You know, old fields, you know, that's a pretty good example, that picture there. This is all great habitat for turkeys. As far as hunting goes, like I said, it's pretty popular in Maryland and across the turkeys range. Generally, our models, you know, show that you can harvest up to a third of the gobblers every year, total, you know, a third of the total population, and not have any impact. So I don't think we even come close to harvesting that many, but you could. Fall turkey hunting is you can hunt turkeys in the fall out here in the western part of the state. It's not as popular. And I should mention also that the spring season is gobbler only. You can't take hens in the spring because, you know, she's the one that's having the poles and continuing the population. So in the spring, the season is male only. In the fall, it's typically either sex, and there's not that many birds taken during the fall season, not enough to jeopardize the population. And we also have a winter season now. That came about last year due to legislation, and again, it's not real popular. Spring is the big season for turkey hunting.
So are there more gobblers than hens?
Other way
More hens than gobblers?
typically, yeah, there would be more hens than gobblers.
Technically, it'd be harder to hunt the gobblers in the spring because they're so few.
Well, there's fewer, but there's still a really good population of them. Yeah. So, but. Yeah, you're calling them in is what you're doing. Yeah, you're keying in on the male and getting him to come to a call. So, but if you're right. I mean, to go out and try to just go through the woods and find turkeys is really difficult. That's how they hunt them in the fall. Typically in the fall, it's more like deer hunting, you know. But in the spring, you're trying to interact one-on-one with the turkey and call them in. Yeah. Towards the end of summer, early fall, you'll start seeing the males more congregate together, and even some of those males from that year, they'll start forming up at that point. Yeah. Okay. That's where you're at? Uh-huh. They can. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they will breed. Because occasionally you'll see a flock of wild turkeys, and there will be one in the flock that has a lot of weight in it. Or, you know, a lot, yeah. So, so they will mix. Yeah, they can mix. Yeah, they can mix. I don't know how common it is, but it does. It can happen. Yeah. I don't know about that, to be honest with you. I as far as is it good or bad, it's probably inconsequential, I guess would be the best. Maybe, I don't know. I think that would be. Yeah, that would be a live decoy. And I don't think we allow live decoys in the state. I don't think. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Yep, that's two gobblers fighting. Yep. So, yeah, they're fairly aggressive. I've come up on them already where there'll be two of them fighting in the middle of the road, completely oblivious, and you'll sit there in the truck and watch them, and they're fighting and carrying on, and one will drag the other one off the road, and yeah, they're pretty aggressive. But yeah, so I think that pretty much sums up. It's hard to read anyways, but yeah. So any other questions on turkeys?
What do you, so I've never, I guess, feathered a bird, or he feathered a bird. So when you, I guess, hunt them, how do you prepare them? Like, what do you do with the feathers? How do you
Pluck them.
You just pluck every single feather. Like
You can pluck them, or if you just want to breast them, you can just peel back the skin and all and take the breast off of them. Yeah, it's mainly on a wild bird. You're just thinking you're mainly focusing on breast meat. Now I've deep fried them, and they come out great. I mean, like you said, the legs, there's not much to the legs, but yeah, you're just basically the same deal as a domestic turkey.
So I would have to pluck it.
Well,
who you use to pluck the feather?
Yeah. Yep, just scald it and yep. So and yep.
Well, I've never done that.
Yep. They have machines. They have a lot of like rubber tentacles on them that'll do it as well. But yeah, if you're doing it yourself, that's what you would do. Or like I said, a lot of people will just take and actually peel the skin back and just come right down both sides of the breastbone and
That's the meat.
yeah, that's the bulk of the meat. Yep. Yeah, well, probably not at the bug. I don't know how efficient they are at pests. They're just a neat species as far as what they can. What's that? Yeah, exactly. But they're just a neat species that adds diversity to your property, and they're a species that, unlike deer, aren't really detrimental to your property. We'll get into that here next, but yeah, as far as what they add, like I said, they do bug, they do eat insects, but they're not eating like mosquitoes or a lot of those stuff. Yeah, it's wildlife. So. No, they would. No, I would not be concerned at all about having a flock of turkeys. I'll be honest with you, the only negative that I've heard with turkeys anywhere and in Maryland is sometimes they can be aggressive, and if they get acclimated to people, we have had cases where they'll be aggressive towards people. So at that point they could be somewhat of a nuisance.